If you've had to catch a flight out of Pearson Airport lately, you know all about those long lineups to get through security. Now Toronto's business industry is calling on the federal government to do something about it. Leaders from Ontario's tourism sector want Ottawa to lift pandemic restrictions at the airport, which they say are contributing to the long lines. They believe the current situation could hurt the province and Canada's economy. Joining us live tonight is the President and CEO of the Toronto Regional Board of Trade, Jan Silva, along with President and CEO of the Tourism Industry Association of Ontario, Chris Bloore. So, Jan, let's start with you. Talk to us about the ripple effect here. How are lineups at Pearson ultimately hurting the entire economy?
Look, these are customers. It's as simple as that. We've had, particularly downtown Toronto, we've had thousands of small businesses shut down throughout the pandemic. We've finally reopened, and now we're making it incredibly difficult for international business travelers, tourists, to get into our city and to activate these businesses or interact with these businesses. So it's absolutely critical. We need access to customers.
Chris, we mentioned the pandemic restrictions still in place. What exactly is the demand to Ottawa?
Well, there's two demands that are quite clear. First of all, we need to lift some of these legacy health restrictions that are still in place right now. The time and interaction between the customer and the traveller and the Customs and Border Agency at the moment, it has jumped from 30 seconds from pre-pandemic to almost 2 minutes now when going through the airport. And that is putting a huge pressure on the ability of the airport to process people. And this is why we're having these incredible long lines that we have at the moment. And the second is we need help in staffing the airport and the border agencies properly. We need more members of staff to be able to, frankly, take on a very different situation than when we had pre-pandemic. There are more people coming through. There are more questions to be asked. And this is really hurting the ability of the airport to get people through in an efficient way.
And if I could just jump in, the problem existed before the pandemic as well. We simply haven't been operating with any kind of service standards for inbound or exiting passengers. We're running at 3 times the service standards of other airports pre-pandemic, and it's symptomatic of insufficient funding in the technologies that could smooth throughputs and the staffing that's required. You layer on the pandemic restrictions that have been applied, and we're just in the crisis that we're seeing right now.
So, Jen, I'll continue with you. If Ottawa doesn't heed this advice and it keeps restrictions in place and nothing changes, what's your greatest fear about the current situation at the airport?
Look, people are already talking about it. I was in meetings this week with some colleagues from the U.S. They're talking about why are we having the next meeting in this series in Canada. It's just too difficult. Half of them were late trying to get into the meeting because there were delays at the airport, sitting on their inbound aircraft on the tarmac because our customs halls were too busy. We need to reopen the economy. Our airport, Pearson in particular, critical parts of that reopening to give us access to the customers that we need to kickstart the economy.
So, Chris, Jan touched on the business travel right there, how it's putting meetings behind. Now, the busy summer travel season is fast approaching. That's all about tourists. Describe what Pearson could be like if nothing changes and all these summer tourists are waiting to get into Toronto.
Well, I think Jan hit the nail on the head. You know, people will talk, travelers will talk. We're in the news for all the wrong reasons at the moment. Yeah. The lines that are happening at Pearson right now. And people are making decisions. Do I want to risk going into Canada? Will I miss my flight? Will it take me several hours to even start my vacation? And after 2 years of restrictions and closures, the hell that the travel and tourism industry have been through, this is the last thing that we need to do as we embark on what we hope is going to be the first proper tourism and travel season that we've had for 2 years. So it's another obstacle for people to travel, and it's a really a source of frustration for those businesses that are really excited about the opportunities that this summer could give them.
And Chris,
let
me just follow up with Chris right there. You mentioned how this could affect Toronto. These are passengers trying to get into Toronto, but also Toronto's used a lot as a stopover to many other parts of Canada. So this is something that might hurt the rest of Canada as well.
Absolutely. Listen, we need to. These are challenges that are within our ability to solve right now. If government can step up and support the industry and support Pearson, we can answer many of these problems immediately. And as Jan rightly says, this was an issue that existed before the pandemic, which makes it even more frustrating that we've not acted during the pandemic to get ourselves ready to be able to really realize the opportunities that exist this summer. So it's not just damaging for Ontario's travel industry; it's damaging for the entire Canadian travel industry.
So, Jen, what's been the reaction from federal officials? Are they working with you? Have you heard from them? Are you making progress on these demands?
Look, we're in active contact with Ottawa. Our challenge, quite frankly, is that the airport clearance systems are split among three ministries, and it's how do we get a central approach to trying to solve for this. So we're actively involved as Toronto Region Board of Trade. We're part of a network, the 9 largest cities in Canada. We all have international airports that are struggling with the same issues. So there's very active discussion. All I would say is the more we can do to bring awareness to the fact that the airport is a critical economic enabler. These are customers that we need to have access to, particularly after everything our businesses have been through the last 2 years. And if that's not a critical call for urgent action, I simply don't know what else it's going to take.
Jen, are you worried that businesses south of the border might just say no to Toronto?
Well, we're seeing it already. We're seeing, people wanting to not come into the market because they can't get in and out for a daily meeting, just to undertake either investment decisions or following up on projects. This is going to hurt us. The other big thing, Toronto relies a lot on major events, and the conference sector is not going to want to be looking at Toronto as a destination if there's a risk that inbound delegates are spending 3 hours on a landed aircraft because the customs hall is too busy. We need to fix this problem. It's critical for Toronto, it's critical for Ontario, it's critical for our national economy.
Chris, final question to you. How badly could this hurt the tourism bounce back when we know the industry is still far from recovered from the pandemic? What could it mean for businesses outside the airport right here in downtown Toronto that rely on this summer season?
Well, it could be absolutely catastrophic. And I think Jan again is right. Every day, decisions are being taken by customers and travelers about what they're going to do this summer. Decisions being taken by businesses about what they potentially may or may not do in Ontario or Canada as a whole. So every day we have inaction on this issue. Our economy is losing millions, if not billions of dollars. And so the impact, whether it's a small business or a medium or large business, could be catastrophic. And so, as Jan rightly says, we need action by government now before it's too late.
All right, Jen Silva and Chris Bloore, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.